This podcast is for leaders at diverse levels and organizations around the world who are seeking to scale and transform their leadership, to level up their business and to create an impact in the lives of people all around them. I'm your host, Stephen Paul, and in this episode, we meet an enterprising leader who has achieved multiple milestones and is on a drive to change the educational ecosystem, among other things. He is the Chief Information Officer of one of the biggest universities in Lithuania. He's also a chairman of a consortium of higher education and an entrepreneur at Moodle. He's none other than Paulius Nomgaudas. Welcome to our guest, Paulius from Lithuania. Great to have you on the show today. How are you doing today?
Hello, Steve. Thank you. I'm great. Each day is quite interesting for me. So this one is very interesting, especially because it is my first this kind of meeting, so podcast. So I'm happy for this experience.
Wonderful. And so just to remind us where you are exactly based. I know you're based in Lithuania, but where exactly are you based?
I work and live in Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania.
Wonderful. You know what, Paulius, I've been to Vilnius. I used to come to Riga quite a few times a few years ago, and I used to come there. So it was a while ago.
Yeah. Yes. For me personally, Riga is very interesting city because it is near the sea, the bay, and the river. So there is a lot of water in the Riga. Vilnius had the river, but not so much water around. So
that's true. That's true. And Paulius, tell us a little bit more about Lithuania and any specific cultural elements that happen at this time of the year.
No. In Lithuania now, just the spring is starting, and today we have quite cold day, but sun is shining. And I don't know how much we need to talk about that, but we are working a lot. We are reaching the news about what's happening in the world, and just try to do our best each day, because there is some bad things happening in the world, and Lithuania is quite related with that, because it is quite related people who now fighting for their lives. So I think you know about what I'm talking.
Yes,
and,
absolutely.
Yes, and we feel that it is very directly impacting our lives as well. So we just try to help them, and personally, each day now I have some additional activities about how to help Ukraine, about education activities, about some IT solutions, or just advising something related with that. But in general, in Lithuania, everything is quite calm. We're working, we're happy, and I don't know, waiting for summer and hotter weathers.
Yeah, no, thank you. It is indeed a very important topic about what's going on, current affairs, yes, about the region and the implications and so forth. And I'm glad to hear that you are taking positive measures within your control to manage the situation there. But it is a very difficult situation. So let's move on about you, Paulius. Tell us about your personal journey, just briefly.
Okay, so I think about IT. I started to think from the first grade in the school, because I just started to participate in one school activities about developing. I started to develop of Turbo Pascal. It was my first development language. And from the beginning, then I get the first computer, I understood that I like IT. Then, of course, I don't understand how wide IT sector is, but the start was there. And and the next step, I think, was when I started to study in Vilnius Tech, and in the third years, I started to work in university as developer as well, and majority of my life as an employee experience is related with Vilnius Tech. So I grew it up here as an IT specialist.
Yeah.
But because I am very active, I think, you know, and you read at my LinkedIn profile,
Yeah.
how much positions on one time I am covering. I do a lot of different things, but as I talked with friends, relatives, and colleagues, I think all these different but together related to education sector activities gives all these good things for me as a person, as an expert of this field. And I think I can't now remove something from my life. Yes, the family is not very happy that I work so a lot, but in general, everything goes quite well. I'm happy, and I think the talk with you is one of the milestones or great things which happened because I am as I am.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah. No, thank you, Paul. That's very interesting, and we'll come to all the great things that you're doing in parallel. This is what I call a multipreneur leader like yourself, who has got a portfolio of roles.
Good word, multipreneur. Yes, I not heard it until now.
Yeah. So, I acknowledge that you have, the background and the interest in IT or in technology, and is it right to say that you started more on the technical side of things initially, and then you diversified into the business aspects of technology?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Okay, and now you're building technology elements of the businesses across the roles that you're in at the moment.
Yes.
Well, that's interesting. That's interesting. So let's delve a little more into some of the specialisms that you have. You've mentioned about technology, and you mentioned, and by the way, I did take a look at your LinkedIn. Wonderful, impressive profile. You're into lean startups and digitalization. So just let's delve a little bit more into that, and then let's also talk about how that applies to one or two of the roles that you have at the moment. So tell us more about lean startups, for example.
Okay, so everything related with agile mindset, lean startup started, I think, about 8 years ago, when I was promoted to the head of programming department. The situation in university was that there is quite a mess of how everything was managed, of all requests to develop, to create something in the software development field in university. So I started to read, to participate in some seminars, conferences about how agile can change the thinking, the way project managers, product owners manage the flow of the requests and priorities of them. And in the beginning, it was just the way how to follow the rules and change the management in university. But year after year, I understood that it is not just the rules which I need to follow. It is just some good things, good tools for a manager, for a project manager, which if I need it in particular case, I can use to make the project successful, make the software works well, or I know which questions I need to ask for the customer to create the solution which is most valuable to an end user. So in the end, how I now understand this, that I read it the Eric Rice book about lean startup, it gives me more understanding how the products can be developed and why it's so important to check the the product of what are you thinking is best for the market with the end user. And I using this mindset things not just in the business, but in the university management as well, because in the IT sector, especially when you create new systems from the scratch, because you can't buy all systems from the market for the university, because there is a lot of very complex processes which can be digitalized just by creating our own solution for them.
Yeah.
So I need the way how to create exactly what is needed to the processes, to my departments of university. So this thinking let me just go step by step, not think that I know everything from the beginning. I don't know a lot of things, and I like it because then I go deeper in the different fields I know more, and all this thinking, always going step by step, not afraid of mistakes, of fails, leads to success in the end.
Yeah.
Because when you're creating software, create digitalizing processes, you create changing the behavior of the companies, of the employees' daily routine. Because if until the system they just prepared the paper-based documents, now they have a system with different forms. So it is a lot of interesting things, and you need to know how to introduce these changes to the people, to the community, to the organizations. And it is the same. It is a private or public sector. I see the a lot of similarities in this field.
Yeah, and you touched on a very, a few important aspects. You mentioned about behavioral change as well as mindset, and these are very important aspects. So, Paulius, in terms of lean startups and how you've experienced it, do you feel that people around you and people who or organizations are aware of this?
Yes,
to an extent. To an extent that they are actually applying it?
Yes. For example, last week we have the meeting with rector and vice rectors to discuss about this year development. In general, our IT department work plans, and it was a column with story points in it. So, so all organization in Vilnius Tech knows the agile, the story points. But what I understood a few years ago, that it does not matter how you call all this management in the organization. The most important thing is that it works and it leads to success. So I'm not talking each day that we work by agile or something like that. Or by Kanban or something like that. But I just introduce things of management, of working style, which I think on the particular moment is most valuable to introduce and start to use. Because the management must understand how we work and why we estimate it in story points. In Lithuanian language, it is pasakojimo vienetai. So they laughed in the beginning, but now they respect our metrics, and they understand that by this way we can show the size of works which we do each quarter, each year as IT department in university.
So Paulius, just to clarify then, when you're actually approaching a company to introduce this concept or to enhance what they've got currently, do you have to make a lot of effort with the CEO or with the board to actually describe the benefits of this? And does it come across to them as, well, yes, we like it, we want to do it, and we want to apply it in our organization? Or does it take a bit of time for them to actually accept it into their mechanism?
In the beginning, about 6 years ago, it took more time to explain why we use agile or some lean startup elements. But now, after this number of years, then our results of each year, how much work we implemented, the samples of our achieved results talk versus us. We don't need more to convince that the way how we work is good. Yes, always we can do more and continuously improve our work, but in general, everybody, I hope everybody believes that what we bring it as a management style of IT work management is good thing, and we need to follow it in the future as well.
And tell us a little bit more about the digitalization aspects, because nowadays, you know, there are various versions of digitalization, but from your perspective and your contribution to digitization or digitalization, and you know, I know there are different concepts, but where do you see your biggest areas of contribution are on that aspect?
About digitalization, I think I can talk from different sides. If we talk about private sector, where my company is installing Moodles and related products with for virtual learning, distance learning, we come to the customer because the customer wants to automate or reduce the resources for internal learning management and monitoring of what is happening with learning in the company. So from one aspect, we just automate and digitalize the process in general, because when we come, in most cases, it is a paper or just PPT based or PDFs based process, and everybody is sharing these documents or organizing live trainings and collect the participation in the trainings or something like that on paper or just in spreadsheet or something like that. After that, it is a system which monitors, logs the activities, and can generate a beautiful report about what is happening in the whole organization. In university is quite the same, but as IT manager, I have a huge amount of different type of processes and activities, which is asking me to take a look and think about how it can be digitalized. Because as IT department, we take care everything from science management, studies management, to finance and management, human resource management, and other related with university activities fields, which have some kind of systems, or maybe until now they don't have any systems and work with spreadsheets and words. So they asking to do it in general, digitalize the process which is not digitalized at this moment. Others requires support and some updates or new features, installations or creations. So it's very wide field, and it gives a lot of interesting and different experience for me, because I need to quickly change my understanding or thinking from, for example, in one meeting, after this meeting with you, I had a meeting about the project which have 7 universities in Europe, and we together want to create the platform from a digital perspective, a platform where students can exchange and learn different subjects from different universities, not going somewhere or by maybe going, but in one platform as an IT system. And now I am talking with you. After that, I have the meeting with my developers for the one governmental system, which we as IT managers supporting and helping if there is any challenges for Ministry of Education. So you see that there is a completely different variety of fields which I need to cover in each my day.
Yeah, and Paulus, if we actually just zone out slightly, you know, from the topic of digitalization or digitization, in your view, on a scale of, you know, and you're a global leader, you know, you interact with multiple countries, but in the region that you are in, and in Lithuania as well, on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you see the maturity of digitalization lying? 10 being, you know, it's extreme, it's well established and optimized. Where do you see digitalization sitting on that maturity scale in your region?
Maybe I give 7 plus, something like that.
Brilliant. That's
Yes,
brilliant.
because
Yeah.
I think then you start to evaluate the digitalization level of country or city or something like that. You get some metric, but everything changes, processes, people, rules. So after some time, something not so important becomes, or other things becomes more important. For example, during the COVID, these 2 years required some more attention to some distance works, distance learning things, but we've forgotten or just stopped it to implement some other field solutions. But now we are coming back to them, and it is a very active and dynamic process. But I think 7 plus is something like that, because I am participating in some ministry work groups, and we're discussing about what good can be implemented in the public sector, for schools, for private sector, for universities, or something like that. So I see that there is a lot of things which we need to do in near future. So I can't give more, because I know that there is a lot of work to do.
Yeah, no, thank you. And Paulus, you know, we talked earlier that, you know, you've got a portfolio of roles. You know, you're the chief information officer, you're a chairman or chairperson. You're also an entrepreneur, and you've got your own business. Can you maybe tell us an experience or a story, you know, from a time where, you know, as a senior leader or as an executive or even as a chairman, that resulted in a highly positive outcome?
The result of being in this different position?
Yes, that's right. Yes.
As I mentioned, I think in the beginning, all these different positions form me as a leader, I think, which I want to be in the future. Because I think, and how I think is that I like to do, not to talk. Yes, I like to talk. After I achieve something, I do something, I can explain why I'm doing what we want to do. I'm joking that C-level executives must to be the good salesmen, because we have ideas, we need to attract the funding in university or in the private sector, no matter. We have ideas, and we need to sell them, because we're not funding ourselves to implement something. So I think with different positions gives me a lot of different experience, and in the end of the day, I know a lot of new things, and I am happy about that. I can sit and think that I learned this thing, I learned how to handle this stress situation in the meeting or something like that. I know how to solve these big challenges in big projects, because there is a lot of uncertainty about what must be to do in the end or something like that. So I think mostly it is for experience for me personally.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. Let's just delve a little bit more into that, because these days, you know, leaders, emerging leaders, even established leaders, they they constantly face challenges, and you mentioned certain things around stress, crisis, risk, and so forth. Can you maybe give maybe an example of a lesson that you have learned where it has transformed your leadership style or the way you operated, and have benefited the people that were impacted as a result? Can you share maybe a lesson or maybe something like that?
Yes, I think the very important moment which I remember until now is when I started to be a manager, as a development manager and so on. I started to face that I can't handle all the works which comes to me each day, because then you are a specialist or some like expert of some field, developer or analyst or admin. You getting work and you doing it one by one in general, because you getting work and need to do it. When you become a manager, you getting too much work which can be done just by you, and then you transforming your mindset from being just a worker to a leader manager. You need to understand that not all works must be done by yours. You need to attract the team around you which you trust, and you can give them the transit these works to them and just check the result. You need, of course, to learn how to trust your people, because you just start to talk about some strategic, some principal things, and then you just waiting for a result. And during this time, you are working as a manager for directly your responsibility things. You are planning something, discussing with other managers about some strategic things or something like that. For example, in the Moodle partnership, I am the person who talks with Moodle executives about the partnerships, about the milestones for my company, for the Moodle, what they want to from me as a partner. I discussing with other partners about new projects and how we can implement them together. But there is a whole team, which I am thankful very much in the company, in the university as well, which each day working and helping me to achieve. And I think more than half of all these achievements, which I can announce in LinkedIn or just talk about them, is achieved by my team, not by me. It's in general. Yeah. I just think it, talk it with them, and push at them to do this. Give it the good word that you can do it. Sometimes I give some advices to them, because especially in the university we have a lot of students who comes to work in our IT center. So we have some kind of educational process, how to prepare a developer, administrator, or something like that. So we educate, we inspire, and then we get the result from them. And I think it's most important to understand for manager that you need to have the right persons in right positions when you are growing, and not to try to cover everything by yourself. Then you burn out in the end.
Yeah, and that's such an important aspect, right? So the art of delegation, motivating the team, because they are basically the cornerstones behind the success of you as a leader, but also them in terms of their growth and the growth of the organization as well. So you touched on quite a few interesting aspects in terms of mindset and so forth, because not many people think of it that way, and many people are very task oriented as well. So your leadership style is very transformative. I can hear it from what you're describing.
Nice to hear it. That it seems that I think in quite the right direction.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Great.
And Paulus, you have an upcoming conference where you're speaking on a topic. I remember reading it on one of your posts. This is about redefining the role of IT procurement and transformation of related processes. Tell us more about it. Where is it? What got you invited into that engagement?
Honestly, I don't ask it how they found me. They just write it to me. Maybe I am interested to participate into this conference, and because I always like to learn and have new experiences, I agreed when we had the meeting, and we started to discuss about what kind of topic I can present. And from my latest experience of the biggest implemented projects in university, I face it that the IT solution procurement process is not the most important thing. It is important, but it is just a good start of a successful project for the company. Because as I discussed with my colleague earlier, when I presented this topic as well, I explained that I don't know why, maybe because we're always working with IT systems and have a lot of different projects, but we see that IT solutions changing the behavior of end user. So by planning to buy something, we need not just to write a technical specification to buy the specific tool and then introduce it after successful procurement to the end user. We need to attract the whole stakeholders from the early beginning and explain that everybody in this, let's say, tender group or something like that is responsible for the result of this project. Because IT not buying the IT solution for themselves. Yes, we are spending a lot of money because we are buying a lot of good things, but we're not using them in the end of the day. We just install them, configure them, integrate if it is needed. But in the end, the whole day spent with these systems is in the departments of HR, financial department, studies, or something like that. Yeah. So we understand that we need to invite all stakeholders from the beginning to participate in this procurement because we want to be successful. So I will talk about how to do that, how to convince that they need to spend time and book the time in the project steps and participate, test, talk, give feedback, and so on and so on. Because there is no just IT projects. It is business projects in which the IT have quite important role, but not the most important, I think.
Yeah, and that's very important as well. And Paulus, in terms of the trends and topics that business leaders are facing these days, and we talked about it earlier, at the beginning of this talk as well, about current affairs and some of the regional implications. But outside of that, where do you feel some of the impacts are, or some of the big topics that leaders like yourself have in mind from a executive team perspective or from a board perspective? What are some of those hot topics that's up in the agenda?
For me, as a businessman, after COVID struck, I closed one business. It was because it was we worked at about 2 years until the COVID, and we developed the virtual reality modules for airport ground handling services to train in virtual reality, because it is very expensive to train in real airports. With the partners from this business field, we created few modules, and then the COVID struck it and everything stopped. All these investments to this field stopped. And unfortunately, until now, they not restarted this investment. Now, then the war started in Ukraine. I facing that there is some struggles in the market for some companies. I thought that it can strike more hardly, but I see now that the business not stopping, they're working and try to achieve more and more, because if we stop, and I think the COVID showed that if we stop by ourselves, a lot of things stop around us as well. Yeah. So as a businessman, we need to try not stop no matter what's happening. And I believe in that, and I think each day businesses faces the challenges, small or bigger, but day by day you understand that all challenges, mostly all challenges can be overcome, and you can win in the end. So I try say that each problem or issue opens some new possibilities or new achievements or something like that. So I just listening, watching what's happening, and try my best each day to do what I can. Yeah. So because there is a lot of things which you can't manage or can't predict, but you know that you're doing the best.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. No, thank you, Paulius. And when you look back in your life, personal, business, what's one or two important things that you've learned in your life?
From the business field, and I think from the public sector as IT manager, in the beginning, when I started my first ideas to implement as a startups, I don't know to understand why it's so important just to do and try, because in the beginning it is quite a lot of risks you see versus the possibilities. Then you start your business and you have a lot of mysterious things which says that you can do it. Maybe it is better not to start your business, something like that. Now, after about, as I joking, the Vextur and Moodle is my 9th business which I started. It is the simple that each try which I have previously give it me new things, new understandings, format me as a person in the end. So now what I do, I always try. If I think and believe that it is important, I want to do it, I am doing. And if it is in the fail in the end, okay, it's a fail, but it is a lesson as well. So I think that the icebreaker for me was to understand that to be afraid in the beginning of something big, it's not a good thing in general, because you're not thinking clear about how to handle of it. If you can handle big things, split them to the smallest one, agile thinking, and do it. And in the end, you will see that you implemented, achieved great big things, which required a year or more to achieve. For example, next Tuesday, I became, as a Vextur, the premium Moodle partner. It is the highest level of partnership with Moodle.
Congratulations! Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. And we took less than 2 years to achieve that, from the beginning as resellers to the highest level of that. And in the beginning, it was a lot of things that I not understand. It was a lot of things what I thought it is not impossible to do in this short period of time. But I try it, I talk it, I ask it what I need to do to achieve more, and so on and so on. And in the end, you see that you achieve it. So I think if we think it all our lives, in the end, we will be achieved a lot of great things. No matter it is a business or just a personal life achievements or something like that, but we need to do step by step, and in the end, you see that you've done it.
Yeah, yeah. And Paulus, you sound and you are a very ambitious and determined leader. What's the next big business adventure for you?
I think this year I started to invest to marketing of the company. So I upgraded my webpage, started Facebook advertisements, and so on, so on, because I thought that it is very interesting and useful for a company. I think what I want to try and achieve, maybe not with Vextur, but I want to try and understand more practically how the investment to companies is working, how investors invest to companies, how to attract the funding for some crazy ideas or something like that. I read it about it, but I not try it. So I think in the near future, I will think about how to try it, because for me, it's very interesting. Because I understand that for some ideas, there is a very fixed time to get successful or achieve successful results, because there is other competitors in parallel. So sometimes you need to grow very fast, and I want to try it. How to grow very fast with investors and grow worldwide business.
Yeah. Okay. And wonderful. Now we're coming to a close very shortly, Paulus. And let me ask you, do you have any closing messages that you want to share with other leaders on, key lessons or, topics of interest that you feel others might benefit?
I think for me personally, I don't know, maybe for others not work it, but for me, always work it until now. If I have a possibility, invitation to do something, try something, I use it and do it. And then I think, do I need to do it further, or I just want to change my direction to something like that? For example, one of the examples is be a lecturer in the university. I try it. I learned the project management, but I tried for 2 years because I just wanted to try it. After that, I understood that it is not for me, but it was a quite interesting experience. So I think we need not to throw away any possibility to become a better as a managers, as a leaders, or as experts in something, in some field, but to try it, or some kind to try it a little bit to get more insights about what you are throwing away or accepting and trying in general. Yeah. So for me, it is very important, and I heard a lot of samples when people just let to go through them the brilliant ideas, brilliant possibilities, because we don't try to go deeper to understand what they are facing. So I don't doing that. Yeah. For example, when salespersons contacting me and offering me products, yes, to say that I'm not interested is the easiest way, but I try to find the time, not always, but try to find the time, and just listen to them for half of an hour or something like that. And no matter I need it or not, for example, as IT manager, but I listen for half of hour of seminar, of sample, how the business is selling something for me. and from that, I can get new insights, how to talk, how to present some products like that. I always getting new experiences from all activities what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, wonderful, Paulus. This is very interesting. So I'm actually hearing experimentation. So try it out, and confidence, and taking the courage to actually even experiment as opposed to just being in your own comfort zone as well.
Yes.
Those are big messages there. Well, Paulius, we are approaching our end of the show. Thank you very much for your time. And folks, thank you very much for listening in, and stay tuned for our next episode and another great leader who will be sharing her journey on diversity. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thanks.